But how do you know what is your real dream?
It's not that I'm passionate about saving the world. I'd like to say I'm a good person, that I want to save the world, save the agriculture, but it's not the case.
Our society cultivates showing not your mistakes, but only your success.
Again, it's a recipe for disaster. And
Have you ever been jealous of your friends? Cool. So, Michael, thank you very much for having this joint episode of my podcast with me. As always, Michael, I do not provide an intro to my guests because not because I'm lazy, but because I'm interested in your perspective of yourself. So, how would you introduce yourself?
I don't like labels and titles. I don't like saying, oh, I'm a CTO, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a kayaker, I'm a father, I'm just Michael. I'm just a person. I build in the eyes of agriculture. I think it's an important definition because I'm really into what I'm doing now professionally. I'm a student of life, and for me, it's kind of lifelong experience. I'm always learning and trying to understand how the world works, and I'm a seeker of adventures.
That's very interesting perspective. We would dive deeper into some of the details later. But the first thing I would like to ask you, how did you start your day today?
I started my day by preparing sandwiches to my kids. Now, this is the Now, actually, today I think I woke up early, before half an hour before my kids, so I had some time to think about the day, to learn to write down several ideas, a kind of my diary, and then I prepare food for my kids, send them to the school, and worked out, did some sport outside.
You said that you wrote down some things in your diary. So is this something that you're constantly doing? Like you're writing some thoughts in a notebook? I think right now it's quite unique that somebody's still writing down with a pen or a pencil.
I'm doing it with an iPad, with the electronic pen and
Oh,
electronic iPad, but
but
I
still,
do write.
it's written.
It's written, yeah, it's written text. It's not typing, it's written text. I like to think when I'm holding something in my hand. It's easier for me to play with something, draw, write.
I think it's a very interesting point that you mentioned it right now because like everything is digitalized right now. And what personally I feel, and still I'm 26, but some of the important ideas I also prefer to write down.
I read some research about the fact that when you write down, when your hand moves, and the fact that your muscles move, it's not only your fingers, it's more
Yeah.
than your fingers. It does impact your brain and does create some activity inside your neurons. And maybe I'll add another thing for listeners of followers on YouTube. When you go to meetings, it's seen as very unpolite to take your laptop and start typing things on your laptop. If you are using a Remarkable, if you use an iPad, it's normal. It's like using a usual pen and paper.
Michael, since we're speaking, like we briefly touched your career already, so I would like to dive a bit deeper into this topic. So you were leading a team at Playtika, one of the hugest international companies. Right now, you're the CTO at Fermata, an Israeli startup. Why do people leave the corporate world?
I got asked the same question a couple of weeks ago, and I think the right question is not why I left it. The right question is why it took me so much time to go from corporate to startup world. No, it's not
Wow.
that I loved what I did in Playtika, but I feel much more accomplished when I see the impact, the immediate impact of what I'm doing. It's doable in a big corporation. It's doable in a corporate. When you step the corporate ladder up and up, at some levels you can see your impact, but even at the level that I was, impact on the business, my impact on the business was minimal. And I felt it did not give me the joy and the feeling of being happy at work, being happy with what I'm doing.
But to be honest, when you're leaving such a big company corporate, it's from my understanding, it's about comfort because you have all the processes, you have like huge budgets. When we're speaking about startups, it's something when you had to do everything yesterday, you have always deadlines on fire, and I think that when we're becoming wiser, older, if you will, uh, doesn't it feel like you want to spend less time and efforts on doing something and like getting more money? Because a startup is a very time consuming and energy consuming thing.
I understand what you're talking about. Indeed, even if you look at it statistically, if you go to a startup, statistically you will earn less money than at a corporate. But for me, being trapped into the comfort zone is kind of my biggest fears. When you're inside comfort zone, you stop developing yourself.
Right.
But if you go too much outside of the comfort zone, then it's really dangerous because you don't know what you're doing. You might become stressed and nervous, and there's a huge chance of failure. So I'm trying to find the silver line, the right amount of comfort and the right amount of discomfort. I think for me personally, I do know from other areas of my life, for example, sport, that the discomfort is what brings you growth. When you need to wake up early at 5 a.m. and you need to run, you need to go to the sea, and you hate yourself, you hate the people that caused you to do it. But when you finish, you are feeling much better, and you feel
Right.
that you stepped one level up. Suddenly you have more abilities. You feel like you grew up. You became stronger, you became wiser, you became more accomplished, more developed persons.
But as far as I know, before Playtika, you also had your own startup. So why did you decide not to continue with startups, but you joined a corporate?
I did want to get some corporate managerial abilities because even if you
Mhm.
have your own startup, in order to improve your chances to succeed, you need to do it right. And now in corporate, you do learn how the structured company is supposed to work. So the
Mhm.
corporate experience is important, but in the long term, I personally prefer to be with the smaller companies where I can see a bigger impact. Or maybe iterate. You can be corporate startup, corporate startup.
When you were speaking about a comfort zone, I was just curious about the corporate and about startups. You have a family, you have 3 daughters, you have a wife. Um, how do you balance it with the super active startup life and also the family?
At this stage of my life, it's easier for me to invest more time in startups. And I now technically it's easier for me because kids need me, but they are on their own. They can prepare their own food. They can go to school. They can go.
Mhm. Interesting. I mean, it really motivates specifically me. I will speak about myself. But what I noticed among my generation, my friends, my surrounding, is that right now youngsters, they're a bit afraid of getting into serious relationships, building families, having kids, because they want to build a successful career. And what I see from the such people like you and my previous guests, right, who are very mature, who are leading huge international teams, like their C-level, they all have kids. But my question to you is maybe what would be your advice to my generation if they want both to build successful career and to have relationships?
I think yes, and say if you have kids, and especially true for women, you cannot work for 12 hours because you do need to be with your kids. But if you have the right partner that can back you up, if you an efficient manager, first of all, manager of yourself, of your own time. You can focus on high impact activities, this Pareto principle, 20% of the activities that bring you 80% of the results. If you can choose the activities wisely, I think you can develop simultaneously career and good relationship. First, I understand that the situation of women and men is different, but my bosses at the beginning of my career were women. At the army, I had a major, and she had kids at the age of 20-something. My advisor in Technion, Ayelet Tal, she also had kids at, I think, she started at her PhD or at her postdoc. So she did have kids at the beginning of her career, and she still managed to build a great career.
When we were talking about your previous experience and you having kids, you somehow mentioned that you don't have like regrets, but of course you're analyzing the past time and maybe you would do something differently. The question is, from your perspective right now, what is your biggest mistake that you've done?
I think that when I look back from my age of 45, it may sound weird, but the biggest mistake is to stay at the places that you don't feel 100% committed to. By the way, it's true for work, it's true for relationship. I saw a post in some WhatsApp group of data science leads about people who cannot leave a company because of some millions of shekels involved. And my gut feeling that in 10, 20 years from now, they will deeply regret it. Because if you stay in somewhere, again, it's true for any relationship, professional or intimate relationship. If you stay in somewhere for wrong reasons, it hurts you from inside. You are not in peace with yourself. You need to lie to yourself. You need to explain why you're staying in this place because of money, because it's more comfortable, because of a variety of reasons. But eventually, it hurts you so. So my biggest mistakes were to stay at the places that I wanted to live, and I did not live early enough.
But don't you think that back then you had your own motivations why you stayed? I mean, and these people that you mentioned, because of like million shekels, I think that as for now, at this very point of life, they also have a motivation why they choose this over their own, I don't know, dream or gut feeling. Because to be honest, also, everybody in the society right now motivates you to follow your dream and blah, blah, blah. But my only question to all these people is like, but how do you know what is your real dream? I think, I mean, am I the only one who, when people are asking me, what is your dream, Dana? Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, it's very complex.
By the way, personally, I don't believe in following your passion. And when I'm looking at people that I know personally, and I'm looking at people who did great things, just amazing figures from the past and from the present. It's not that they did what they love to do, and they did what they did great. It's not about passion. It's about doing something, and even more. I think that if you begin doing something, if you are good at it, and if you know how to improve yourself iteratively, it does not really matter what you do. When you reach the point of mastery, that you feel comfortable, you begin to look at your work as a kind of something playful. At this case, it becomes your passion. It's not you. I know let's say I'm working with the Fermata now. It's not that I'm passionate about saving the world. I'd like to say I'm a good person, that I want to save the world, save the agriculture, but it's not the case. I do want to have a positive impact. I do love people that I work with, but I think what kind of my main motivation is to reach the level of mastery that I create something in the world. The fact that I create something positive, it's nice, and it adds to my motivation. but it's not the main thing for me too. No, my passion is not the agriculture.
Interesting. And since we're speaking about motivation, I know that right now you have quite a big team. And what's the most irritating thing in people that you hate?
This is something that I understood only recently, that the lack of ownership really irritates me. Used I love to work with people that have the responsibility, accountability, that they feel the product is theirs, and even if the person kind of does not have enough knowledge, it's possible to learn, and less care about the technical abilities, so the things that you can learn, you can improve. But the internal, this mental thing that this is your project, and if something happens to it, it's my responsibility. It's not that I'm responsible only for writing a piece of code and I don't care about what happens afterwards.
And this ownership, it's not only in work but also related to life.
Yeah, I think too. But let's say in life, it's difficult to make me angry in life in general. Kind of joke. Yeah, I live in Israel, and people in Israel usually use their horns in car every couple of minutes, and I think that I have my license for 25 years, even more, and I use the horn really 10 times at most, maybe even less. I'm very calm, so people don't irritate me. It's like for me, rain and weather cannot irritate me because I'm telling myself this is what it is. I'm looking at the same way at people. The person is what he is. I may feel pity for him or for her because he's not developed enough. He does not take responsibility for his own life, but it doesn't irritate me. It does not make me angry.
What are you afraid of?
Maybe of not daring enough, of not trying the things that I dream of. I'm afraid to stay in the comfort zone.
I have a question. Why do people are so concerned about the comfort zone? I mean, right now, specifically nowadays, because when I speak with my, I don't know, parents, with my grandparents, they didn't even have this term
So,
of comfort
comfort
zone.
zone.
And I mean, it's interesting how everybody is right now, specifically on LinkedIn, are talking about getting out of your comfort zone. But let's face it, I mean, here in Israel, we are definitely out of comfort
The
zone.
comfort zone.
With all the political situation, COVID, which was several years ago, can we really speak about comfort zone right now? What are you talking about, guys? And is it really so bad to be in comfort for some time?
Yeah, it's a good point. 'Cause I agree that comfort zone became a buzzword. For some time, yes, it's not a problem. Probably it's even essential for you to rest and to stay calm and to stay healthy. But again, I'm talking about myself personally.
Yeah.
When I'm step into some routine, doing the same thing over and over again, and I see that I don't develop. I don't develop myself, and it's never happened in my life for long periods, but it did happen for kind of couple of months. I'm just starting to wonder about what I'm doing here, why I'm not trying something new. Maybe if I could live with this feeling, I'd stay in a comfort zone, and maybe my life would be more comfortable. Even maybe I earn more money, but this isn't the bug and the feature that helps me learn, but also always pushes me forward, also pushes me to make mistakes and to do stupid things sometimes.
What was the stupidest thing that you've done recently?
I think that stupid in the good sense, even if for many people to leave a corporate and join a startup is also a stupid thing. Why?
Um, I think that this thought about the comfort zone and about always challenging yourself, It's the core of a human, and you can like that's the purpose from my understanding of life, right? Always to push yourself. That's how you can understand your new emotions that are hidden inside yourself, your like your real dreams. That's how you explore life. But you know what I'm thinking, and like maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you have another feeling. But specifically right now, because of the social media and stuff, we always see this successful success, and we always see people who are doing like huge, great things. They're writing about it, they're showing the pictures and stuff. And the feeling that I started to get recently is frustration. I'm asking myself, am I good enough? If I see a lot of people are capable of doing such things, why am I not doing them?
It's very dangerous to compare yourself to other people. No, it's not then dangerous at the age of 10, 15, when all you did is just go to school and pass some exams. But even if you're very old age of 26, you have a lot of different sides of your life, and you can also publish great photos on Instagram, and then people will envy you, but they are not aware of your, say, darker sides of your life. And everyone has dark sides, and everyone has some battles. When you look only at one side of any person after age of 18, especially if this is the bright side, everyone has successes and failures, and people don't tend to show failures. So usually everyone is showing only their successes, only the bright sides of their lives.
Why people are so afraid of mistakes, even though every grown up will tell you that it's good, it's okay to make mistakes, even though our society cultivates showing not your weakest side, not your mistakes, but only your success.
Well, it's a great question. I'm not sure that I have an answer. I even fight with this fear of mistakes in Fermata, because when a person does a mistake and he talks about the mistake to everyone, it's not a mistake. It's a way of learning for the whole company, because other people can learn from this mistake. But if the person does a mistake and doesn't talk about it and tries to hide it, then it's more than a mistake. It's kind of a huge failure. So I don't know the answer why. I'm trying to change the culture so that people do talk about their mistakes and share them on some Slack or other sources, so that everyone can learn from them.
You know, you're speaking mostly about the professional life, the career.
Okay,
But also people are making a lot of mistakes during their real life. I mean,
sure.
of course, job is also real life, but I mean personal life. Most of the people, like, I will speak about myself. I don't feel I have this feeling that I'm not spending my weekend as effective as I could. Probably I could go, I don't know, somewhere beautiful place here in Israel, or we could go to the museum or stuff. But no, in reality, what happens when it's Saturday or Sunday? You're just, yeah, after having a breakfast at
Yes, sure.
1 or 2 p.m., you're just lying down with your husband saying like, well, let's go to the beach now. Too lazy. So, and you know, it's also kind of not a mistake, but you feel that I'm not doing good enough. How to stop judging yourself?
You're feeling that you're not perfect, right? And by the way, I think that when you have a kid, it will be even stronger, because you cannot be perfect with your kid 100% of the time. You will make mistakes and you will shout, and if you continue judging yourself for it, it's uh, again, it's a recipe for disaster. And probably the best that you can do is to accept the fact that the world is imperfect. Maybe it starts with accepting that you are not a perfect person. How to do it and how to make this process easier. People say that if you stay at the moment, if you are not too worried about the future or the past, if you're able to kind of also to step out of yourself and look at yourself, observe what you are doing, and at the same time tell yourself it's okay, it's Dana, it's not no. She's not supposed to be perfect. It helps to stay at the moment and not to wonder about how your mistakes might influence your future.
Michael, have you ever been jealous of your friends?
Of course, yeah. No. From the age of 5, my friend got a great toy and did not. Yeah,
No,
I
I
was
mean, being a grown up.
also now not. I think I did learn to overcome it, but at the age of 26, 30, yeah.
What was the main reason? Like career or family? What?
Both, both. Especially those moments of your life when you are down and you have a lot of problems and relationship, career, everywhere, and you have a friend that's very successful at the same moment. You're thinking, why he's fine, and I'm not.
And did it motivate you in a good way or in a bad way?
No, I think in a bad way. Again, me personally, I paid attention that it it doesn't motivate me. It just creates bad feelings and bad self-talk.
What is the worst advice that you've ever received?
Worst advice. Follow your passion. Nah,
Yeah, that's
uh,
amazing. Michael, and my last question
sure.
that I ask all of my guests, what is Michael's superpower?
Uh, I think that my superpower is the ability to observe and to pay attention to small details. And I can explain why it's important now. When you're at an executive level, and actually, I think it's true for many other positions, and not only professional positions, but in life in general, you spend a lot of time making decisions. Making decisions is a difficult job, but it becomes easier when you have more information. It's still difficult. You still need to think about what's good, what's bad, how to weigh different possibilities. But when you have more information, when you can pay attention to small details, when you understand people better, again, I think it's true both in work and in my life in general, even in my obsession with kayaking and water sports. When you can pay small details, how you react to people, how people react to you, it helps you. It helps you a lot in removing the ambiguity from the world and in improving your ability to make decisions.